feel like I need to apologise in advance for this video because yes, it's regarding Jesse Lingard again. I know. It's been a day or so. It's time to talk about Jesse. No, I mean, to be honest with you, it's one of those subjects, isn't it, that's just been going on and on. I mean, not just for this window, but last couple of years, it just feels like something that always seems to crop up. But yes, we are still talking about Jesse Lingard, but we do have an update on it. Before I go into it, though, I just want to say that we're going to be giving away a shirt. It's going to be a West Ham shirt, home, away, or third, and we're giving it away every month for the whole season. And all you need to do is just be a subscriber. So if you're not a subscriber, please do, because half of you watching this are not subscribers. And also, if you're a subscriber, you get to keep up with the videos and whatnot, and it's absolutely free to do so. And you join us on our journey for this season, certainly, because let's be honest, it's been a pretty good one so far. So there has, as I said, there's been a bit of an update on Jesse Lingard, and first of all, it was broken, wasn't it, a few weeks ago by X that the player on Patreon that the player was training with the club. Now, it appeared straight away that the initial feelings around that was just to keep up his fitness. It's likely he'd be moving on elsewhere, but he'd been invited to train with the club or allowed to train with the club by David Moyes, which is, it sort of got everyone sort of, okay, is that interesting? Is he going to be coming back? I've got to be honest, I wasn't overly convinced that would be the case. I actually was pretty sure that this would be a summer where we wouldn't have no involvement with Jesse Lingard. I was actually very, very confident of that. I mean, I've spoken about it with Riley a few times now and said, regarding my feelings on Jesse and what I think the impact he could have made when he came back if he had come back to the club. Obviously he opted elsewhere, but I genuinely didn't think there was any opportunity for him back at this football club. But of course, that's now changed. Jesse Lingard's been training with the club, I think, for about 4 weeks now, something around that kind of time. And he played in a behind doors game, friendly, against Ipswich Town in the week on Thursday. And it was a 1-1 draw. Aaron Creswell getting our goal from set piece, I believe. And Lingard played just over 70 minutes of that match. Now, it's really interesting. I don't know whether you've seen the updates of what X provided on Patreon and then what's got, done its rounds sort of on social media. But there's been a little... I think people sometimes twist what's been said. I think that's what's happened here. So X put up an update, and he kind of suggested that Lingard was struggling towards the end. And I think people jumped on that comment and went, oh, he played really badly and it was a terrible performance. It actually wasn't the case. What he was actually referring to was the fact that it got to around about 70 minutes and he was struggling in terms of the heat, which apparently a lot of players were, which is completely understandable because it was about 30 odd degrees. So much like it is today. And I hope, by the way, I hope you're all right out there because, as I record this, I'm literally... I've lost about half a stone during this video, but yeah, so it's pretty warm out there, so be a little bit careful. So yeah, he did play, as I say, and it wasn't as it's been sort of portrayed a little bit by a few people. I think people like to twist things and to suit an agenda in a way. And in fact, some of the big accounts are coming out now and trying to. I won't say that, I don't want to discredit anybody, but sort of jumping on that a little bit and playing that notion that, not sure now. I don't think, after that performance, for a start, that game is not going to be determine Jesse Lingard coming to West Ham or not. I just want to make that very clear. That wasn't really the case. I think that the fact is David Moyes, as far as we understand it, has been very impressed with Jesse Lingard since he's been back at the club. Apparently his attitude's been excellent, been working very hard, and... by all accounts, they're very, very pleased with him. And it looks as though that he's heading towards getting offered to him. But we're going to talk about that in a sec. We'll get back to the video in just a second. But I just wanted to let you know this video is actually sponsored by Circle and specifically their game 5 Match Millions. I'm going to be honest with you, okay, that we're very picky about who we work with on the channel. For the West Ham way, we are. And when they approached us to sponsor the channel, we said, well, okay, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll basically use your app for a couple of weeks just to make sure that we're happy with it. I've got to say, it's really good and very addictive, I'll warn you. Basically, the way it works is they pick 5 games for the weekend, Premier League football games, okay? And each game, you pick a number. You can do it either randomly, or you do a lucky dip, or you pick the numbers that you want. And the way it works is that it's numbers from 1 to 27, and basically the dial will spin depending on what happens in the game. So if there's a throw-in, it moves 2 places to the left. If there's a yellow card, it goes 4 to the right. And basically, wherever it ends at the end of the game, it'll land on a number. And if you get that number, then you win. So basically, you can win up to £1 million if you get all 5, okay? And the first, so if you match 1, you get your money back plus a couple of quid extra, blah, 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 blah. And basically, I think even if you match 3 numbers, you get 75 quid. So it's very, very good. And yeah, and basically all it is £2 a week to play. Now, if you click on the link below and type in West Ham Way, next weekend's games, you get absolutely free and get to give it a go. So why not just give it a go? Got nothing to lose. I've got to say, it's really, really good. And as I say, I've won already twice. It might be beginner's luck. It might well be beginner's luck, but I'm definitely going to carry on playing. But yeah, so click the link below, West Ham Way. Good luck. So the Update X has now provided the latest regarding Lingard. Is that this is what we understand, okay, is that a deal is likely now to be offered to the player, a short-term deal. I don't really know what short-term means. I keep hearing that we don't know the actual details of that in exactly what it's going to be. For me, if I was the decision maker, the deal would be for a year, the rest of the season. That's what I would personally do. But there is some suggestion it runs up to January, which makes absolutely no sense because we've got a few players leaving for the African Cup of Nations, in January, in the new year. So ideally, that's when Lingard's going to be vital. So I don't quite understand that. So we have to sort of wait and see exactly what that means. But as far as we understand it, this is where the interesting news is that Lingard, if he's going to be offered a deal, which is looking very likely, is going to be this week coming up because it's going to be prior to the Manchester City game. So that's, although there's not a screaming urgency because of we've got the players available at the moment, and two, Jesse being a free agent, there is a slight bit of urgency, there isn't there? Because there's interest elsewhere. And there's that we're running that risk again, West Ham, it feels, is that we're not getting this deal done quick enough. I understand the club stance. I do get it in a way, because what they're doing is saying, well, why would we pay Lingard wages? Why would we be paying out for him while he's not even fit, while he's not even ready to perform at Premier League level? You kind of get that. You think, yeah, that makes sense. Why would you be throwing money at a player that's not ready? Fine, I do kind of get that. But if you're running the risk of them a Wolverhampton Wanderers diving in, which is, apparently the case, coming and ready to offer him a deal, then you could then take the player's head could be turned, couldn't it? And say, well, hang on a minute, I'm waiting around here. All that they need to do is come in and say, I tell you what, Jess, we'll offer you, 50, 60 grand a week, whatever, 2-year deal. And you might go, well, I'll take that then. So I think West Ham have got to be a bit careful here. It's all well and good playing this, acting like we've got all the power here. We haven't really. We've got to be a little bit careful. And I do think we're running a slight risk, although I'm not convinced it's a great deal. From what we understand it, Jesse Lingard really wants to come back to West Ham. He's absolutely desperate to play for the club. He's loved being back at the club. That's been said by quite a few people. And Kevin Nolan publicly said it, didn't he? That he was delighted to be there, and he's working very hard. And that's what we heard from David Moyes. It's very, very clear that there's a real love at the moment going on for Lingard at the club. And that's reciprocated by the player himself. He wants to be at the club. So I don't think there's a great deal of risk really. But I just like the club to sort of get on with it now. If they're going to offer him a deal, then do so. Look, it's one that divides opinion, though, Jesse Lingard. Absolutely massive. And I get it. I do completely get why some fans are exhausted with the guy. Feel like we've been here before. And let's be honest, we have been here before now. This is, the third time? Which I think he probably is, isn't it? He came on loan in 2021 when we finished sixth. And then that summer we wanted to get him, couldn't get it done. The following January, we tried to get him, couldn't get it done. The next summer, we tried to get him, we couldn't get it done. He went to Forest, and now we're another summer, and we're trying. So this is quite, the fourth top bite of the cherry. It feels it's becoming quite tiring, really, talking about Lingard, let alone having to then keep changing your opinion of him. Because I've got to admit, I've kind of drawn a line under Lingard really after last summer. I thought, well, he's gone to Forest now, move on. I've no real interest, and I really didn't think it would get resurrected. So. But I do have a feelings on it. And I'll tell you what, it's quite an interesting theory. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. And just give me your thoughts in general regarding Lingard. I know it's going to be quite divisive. I know that some people are absolutely would love him back at the club. Some people don't want him anywhere near him, near West Ham. But, and I get both. I do understand it. I do get why people are a bit frustrated by the whole situation. But then again, I do have a little bit of sympathy for the player. And I'm talking about for last summer. In regards to why he went to Nottingham Forest, I thought West Ham offered him a decent deal, but like we're doing now, we're not. It's like we're struggling to show the love a little bit, like Lingard kind of alluded to. We're not quite, we're not trying to get the deal done quick enough. That's evident, and we're sort of being a bit tough. And it's only going to be performance-based payments. It's only going to be this, it's only going to be that. And I think you've got to be a bit careful because all it takes is another club to come in and go, well, we ain't going to do that. We'll just offer you a nice deal, and he's off. So I think we've got to be a little bit careful there. Sorry, but and the other theory that's come out, which is quite an interesting one, it is a theory, please don't think that I'm saying this is fact, is that apparently the mood at the club is very, very good, and Lingard is a key reason for that. That he is, and let's make no mistake, if you go back to 2021, he lifted the club. There's no doubt denying that. It was like a breath of fresh air having Lingard at West Ham. It really was. You could sense it not just from our play, and he added something different, didn't he? Especially in our counter-attack style, he was just suited him really well. But the mood was just good. Like the players felt really united. It was just a really good feel about the squad and everything else. And I don't know. Is it a coincidence that this season feels similar? I actually said the statement. This is by the way, this is before the Lingard stuff. That it felt that, in regards to these theories as well, that there's a bit of a 2001 feeling about the side this year. Like it feels a bit more united. I put it down to the fact that Rice had departed, and that's not having a go at Declan. It was just a feeling of that, that player that wanted out. We kind of knew he wanted to go. He was the captain. Now it's kind of gone. We've now got a squad that are united and want to be at West Ham. I mean, that could well be the key reason for this. But then someone did, it has been suggested that Lingard is a big factor in that he's at this club, he's at the ground and the training ground, and the players are in a really good mood. Look, it could be a total load of rubbish. You could have zero impact at all, but it's worth thinking about as well, I think. My thoughts on it are that with Jesse Lingard, I don't think there's any denying that he's a good player. Let's be honest. He was he's at Manchester United for all those years. He's played for England, plenty of times at big tournaments and whatnot. You don't get to that level as a player and you're a poor player. There's no denying he's a very, very good player. And we've seen it for our own eyes, in a West Ham shirt. He was exceptional on that loan spell for us. Hence why we all desperately wanted him back. Well, most wanted him back. And that's why it was frustrating, never getting it over the line, never getting the deal done. And whether that be, you could blame who you want for that, West Ham, Man United, whatever, the player, whatever. But it didn't happen. But we are where we are now. I just feel that Jesse Lingard was a great player for us, and I think that needs to be considered. And how and it's not just the fact that, because people might say, well, yeah, but he was awful for Nottingham Forest. I don't think he was awful for Nottingham Forest. Really, he just didn't really he weren't really fitting in, did he? He didn't really have a role to play at that side. And yes, it might well be that he could have done more, but we've seen what he could do in a David Moyes system. Is my point. And let's be honest, we've lost Manuel Lanzini this season. So there is reason and I've just, as I've just said about the African Cup of Nations coming up, we're going to need cover. We're going to need squad depth. And let's be honest, Jesse Lingard available is a big plus, and especially if we've got injuries and everything else and cup games got coming up. I think it's vital, actually. I think he would be a very, very good addition. And I genuinely do think he's a good person to have around. He seems to lift the mood, and that's my feeling anyway. The other thing I really like about Lingard in terms of this time round is that, well, this is how it appears, is that he really wants to come back to West Ham. It feels like he has accepted that he made an error going to Nottingham Forest. Let's be honest, the move was ridiculous, really. I don't know who advises him. I know he's got his family, isn't he, quite involved in terms of his agents, which I always think is a bit of a mistake. My dad always says that about players, and I think he's right, really. Sometimes when you get families being your agents, I don't know, something about it. I just think you don't really need that. I think you need someone a bit more professional, because I just think that he had a good offer. He had a great offer from West Ham. I think we offered him a 3-year deal. I don't know, I can't remember the figures off my head, 90 grand, 80 grand, something like that. But a decent enough deal. And he could have won a trophy. He really could have been with his winner's medal. So I think he must look at that and think, why did I do that? But look, he made that decision, and that's it. That's not. I don't think we need to dwell on it. And I think now he's recognised the errors of his ways, and he now wants to come back to West Ham. Look, my final thoughts on it are: look, if he performs well, then I'm sure, given time, all will be forgiven by most.